guys, it's the Marriage Warrior here, and today we're going to talk about the red flags that I see when couples come into my office. Big one is communication. They are either stonewalling each other where they don't even want to look at each other, they're so angry, or they are fighting. And so, I'm in the middle trying to figure out what is the story going on, because usually in a couple there's not right and wrong. There's a dynamic going on that has caused coping mechanisms to rise, and then they're fighting. So that's the number one thing. The other thing is there's no ownership. Neither one of them are looking at themselves. They're pointing to the other person. We do that all the time. I do that. And so when we look at pointing to the other person, we have to step back, and usually that takes a little counseling from me to be able to help them step back and look at a different perspective. And you step back and you look at yourself and you try to own your own stuff. The other thing is you don't know what your coping mechanisms are. So they come in and they think this is personality, but really it is coping mechanisms. Your personality is very unique and defined with your own identity. So the coping mechanisms are usually pretty predictable. In the DSM, which is our manual for counseling and diagnosing, that particular coping mechanism is stated inside of a disorder. And so even though you might have high anxiety or OCD or whatever it is, those are symptoms that are calling out that there is a coping mechanism underneath that symptom. And then the coping mechanism leads to the wound. And the wound is being triggered. That creates a coping mechanism that then creates symptoms of a disorder. And so when you're finger pointing, you're trying to figure out what's wrong with your partner, but typically it's the dynamic between the couple. And so that's one of the bigger red flags that comes into my office that I have to kind of work them through to back them up from the argument, let them know that probably there's wrong and right in both of their perspectives, and then figure out what is the coping mechanisms and then what is the wound. If you like the content that you're getting on my channel, please feel free to subscribe.